Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Smithville Fiber, the Gigacity Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Indiana University Alumni Association, linking IU's network of over 650,000 alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships and volunteer opportunities. alumni.iu.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.
Coming up on Indiana Newsdesk. Is it dangerous to let your baby sleep beside you in bed?
I respect the opinion of parents and the sleep researchers over just a medical doctor when it comes to my child's sleep.
We'll tell you why it's an issue government agencies, medical professionals, and researchers don't all agree on. Plus, activists are calling on Indiana's governor to stop backcountry logging.
Stop the sale!
Dozens protested at the Yellowwood State Forest, and they say it's just the beginning. And as the nation prepares to honor its veterans, we sit down with two of Indiana's own.
I left the States at 18th of November, and we arrived over there on the 3rd of December.
Their stories of fighting 27,000 feet over Europe and fighting across the islands of the South Pacific ahead. Yep. Those stories, plus the latest news headlines from across the state, right now on Indiana Newsdesk. Welcome to Indiana Newsdesk. I'm Joe Wren. The Department of Child Services says asphyxiation was the leading cause of child neglect deaths in fiscal year 2015. And according to DCS data, nearly a quarter of those incidents were the result of parents failing to provide safe sleeping environments. But as Barbara Brozier reports, what constitutes a safe sleep environment is an issue that's hotly debated among medical professionals, researchers, and parents.
From the moment you step into Anna and Beth Drowsty-Glowinski's home, it's clear they don't get much downtime. The moms have 3 daughters who keep them busy: Ellie, Lila, and Josie.
So they each have different needs.
That's one of the reasons Anna and Beth decided to co-sleep with their kids.
And then we sleep in the bed. Yeah.
While each of their daughters has her own sleep space in the room, they can move into their parents' bed if they want to at any point in the night.
We're not forcing our children to co-sleep with us, but if they want to come get a snuggle, or they feel scared, or they might just need a little reassurance, or we're going through a big transition, we can just be available to them.
Anna says it allows her to nurse Josie in the middle of the night without having to go into another room and sacrifice her own sleep. Oftentimes, Josie will spend the rest of the night in bed with her parents. It's a practice called bedsharing, and one that Anna and Beth say they researched extensively before trying.
There's a lot of research that shows that especially really young children, bed sharing regulates their temperature, regulates their immune system, their breathing, like their whole body. So to me, it's important when they're babies to have that like ongoing comfort.
But several national organizations, including the Centers for Disease Control, National Institutes of Health, and the American Academy of Pediatrics, say while sleeping in the same room as an infant can be beneficial, sharing a bed with a baby can be deadly. The Indiana State Department of Health offers the same guidance to parents.
We have something that we refer to as the ABCs of safe sleep. And it's really easy for everyone to remember. A child needs to sleep alone, on their back, in a crib. And what that means is alone, that means absolutely nothing in their sleep environment. So no blankets, no pillows, no other humans.
The Department of Child Services says in its most recent Child Abuse and Neglect annual report that 17% of the cases investigated in fiscal year 2015 were child deaths due to asphyxia. The agency says that number demonstrates an increased need for safe sleeping practices. But James McKenna, who runs the Mother and Baby Behavioral Sleep Lab at Notre Dame, says blanket statements condemning bed sharing are misguided.
It's very frustrating that they use this wonderful goal we all have of reducing infant deaths in this way and making themselves irresponsible statements about the nature of the parents who are exhibiting this behavior, suggesting that they're irresponsible or suggesting to Child Protective Services that they need to have their babies taken away from them.
McKenna has observed hundreds of mothers and babies as part of his research over the years. He says bed sharing can be safe and even beneficial to both babies and their mothers if done under the right circumstances. McKenna's research says only babies who are breastfed should bed share with their mothers because of the special connection it establishes.
There is really a biological integration of how mothers' bodies are actually responding and can respond to those babies in a safe, non-drug using, an environment in which the mother did not smoke.
And that's another key part of McKenna's research. He says when organizations advise against bed sharing altogether, they fail to educate parents about the many factors that can make the practice unsafe. In all of the bed sharing deaths DCS investigated in fiscal year 2015, the parents admitted to or tested positive for drugs and alcohol.
There has been this terrible failure to understand that bed sharing is the beginning of a conversation. It isn't the end of a conversation. It is not a discrete variable. It is composed of many variables, including the nature of the relationship that the mother has with the baby brought to share.
But the State Department of Health maintains bed sharing isn't safe under any circumstances.
Being asleep next to an infant and having your arm across their chest can actually result in a sleep-related death.
That puts parents like Anna and Beth in the middle of the heated debate, trying to decide what's best for their children.
We decided that our doctor doesn't live with us and they're not a parenting expert. So we take medical advice from our doctor and we take parenting advice from parents.
They plan to keep practicing what they consider safe sleep, giving their daughters the option to make their way into their parents' bed when they need to.
So for us, it's about being able to be available to our children during the nighttime because parenting continues all night long.
For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Barbara Brozier.
IU Health launched a new Safe Sleep initiative last year that aims to decrease infant deaths. Every woman who gives birth at an IU Health hospital in the state will get a sleep sack, which won't get caught on the baby's nose and mouth. There is an educational component to the program, too. IU Health also teaches parents what's called the ABCs of safe sleep, which means a baby should sleep alone, on its back, in a crib. Now for headlines, we go over to Barbara Brozier, who has the latest on this week's top stories.
Thanks, Joe. Vice President Mike Pence made his second official visit to Indiana in a month this week to continue a push for bipartisan support on tax reform. He once again applied pressure to Indiana Democratic Senator Joe Donnelly to support the tax overhaul.
We need the support of every Hoosier in Congress. I know we're going to be able to count on Senator Todd Young, but Indiana also needs to be able to count on Senator Joe Donnelly to vote for tax relief for the people of the Hoosier State.
Donnelly met with a White House official to talk about the Senate's new tax reform proposal. He says in a statement that he will carefully review it and stay engaged with his colleagues. A group of activists is asking Governor Eric Holcomb to stop future logging in the backcountry area of Yellowwood State Forest after the Division of Forestry auctioned off timber from that area this week. Miranda Fillmore reports.
Echoes of chanting bounced off the trees of the Yellowwood State Forest as protesters held signs reading, "A forest is a community, not a commodity," and "Save our trees." Protesters hope to discourage the auctioning of about 1,700 trees, including some from an old growth area of the forest. David Seastrom was among the protesters. He hoped Governor Eric Holcomb would stop the sale, which he says is about power.
It feels vindictive. It feels like the DNR has targeted this area specifically to flex their muscles and to demonstrate that they are the ones in charge.
The timber sold for about $108,000 to a buyer identified as Hamilton. A person looking to preserve the trees bid $150,000, but was turned down because they didn't have a timber license. Executive Director of the Indiana Forest Alliance, Jeff Stantz, says the organization isn't against logging on private land, but takes issue when the trees are removed from the backcountry area of state forests.
The amount of forests in the state forests that are this old is so small, and it's so precious, and it's such an important part of our natural heritage to have forests that go back to the time before we were here, that represent our pre-settlement past.
Stantz says their fight to preserve the trees is not over, and they will continue to bring it to the attention of lawmakers. The DNR declined an interview, but says logging is the way to keep the forest healthy by maintaining a balance of old growth and young growth forest. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Miranda Fulmore.
Now, the logging company that purchased that timber was previously the focus of a lawsuit alleging damaging logging practices. In 2009, Hamilton Logging served as a subcontractor for a timber harvest in Brown County. The property owner sued for breach of contract, alleging Hamilton caused significant damage to her property. She was awarded more than $55,000 in damages. Terre Haute officials are withdrawing a request for a bond to fund improvements to the city's sanitation system. City council members have expressed concern about the $70 million bond proposal, which was originally projected to be $42 million. City Attorney Eddie Felling says the request was withdrawn because the proposal doesn't have support to move forward.
The general idea was we don't want to issue a bond for a design if we don't have a willing council there to issue a bond for the construction itself.
Council President Karam Nasser has been critical of the bond since it was proposed. He cites concerns over a lack of communication and transparency. Mayor Duke Bennett said previously that without the bond, the city would have difficulty staying on schedule to complete the control plan. The founder of a group that installs heated baby boxes in fire stations and hospitals says the safe surrender of a baby using one of the devices this week illustrates the need for more in Indiana. Firefighters handed the baby girl over to the Department of Child Services after someone left her in a safe haven baby box in Michigan City. The boxes trigger a 911 call and act as incubators that keep babies safe until help arrives. But DCS has repeatedly questioned the safety and legality of the boxes. Governor Eric Holcomb signed a bill earlier this year sanctioning 2 existing baby boxes and allowing for more to be installed in hospitals. About 30% of Indiana's school districts are seeing decreases in funding. That's according to State Superintendent of Public Instruction Jennifer McCormick. She spoke with parents in Bloomington during a question and answer session last night.
So the number of schools is increasing quite quickly, but the number of students is not keeping up with that. When you are in a state that the money follows the child, that becomes the perfect storm for some of our districts.
McCormick says Indiana schools are still better off than some other states where the General Assembly doesn't allocate any additional funding for schools. 2 men are being charged with felony murder and an overdose death in what could be the first such case in the state of Indiana. As Tyler Lake reports, the Ripley County Prosecutor's Office is using state law to try and tackle the opioid epidemic.
Indiana law allows a person to be charged with felony murder when a death occurs while that person is committing or attempting to commit a crime. The statute applies to drug dealing. Prosecutor Rick Hurdle says the felony murder charges stem from the July 30th overdose death of Rachel Walmsley.
I honestly think it's the first charge in the state of Indiana. There's a murder charge that's been filed based on an overdose death.
According to Hurdle, Walmsley's husband Nathaniel bought the heroin that killed Rachel from James Trimnell. Hurdle says that Nathaniel injected the heroin into Rachel's arm and his own. The charges are part of a new approach to tackling the heroin epidemic.
We realized that we're going to have to start doing things a little bit differently, and I think on the drug overdoses, law enforcement as a whole, we're not just going to turn a blind eye when these people are overdosing on these drugs and not going after these drug dealers.
If convicted, Trimnell and Walmsley could face 45 to 65 years in prison. Hertel's decision to file felony murder charges in the case comes the same day as Governor Eric Holcomb highlighted the use of felony murder in drug dealing cases as one of his legislative priorities. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Tyler Lake.
Terre Haute leaders are moving forward with a new downtown convention center by seeking a public-private development. As Joe Wren reports, an earlier proposal combined an Indiana State University Holman Center renovation with the addition of a convention center.
City leaders allocated $25 million for the additional space, but it wasn't enough to match the $37.5 million state appropriation. In October, the university announced they would move forward with just the renovation plans.
ISU wanted it to be on the backside, and we just totally do not support that. We wanted it to be on the front if it was going to be co-located and, connected to that building.
It's unclear how much building a new convention center could cost. Indiana state officials declined to comment, citing lack of involvement in the project. The Holman Center opened in 1973. Renovations are scheduled to begin this spring.
And Joe, as of now, there's no timeline for construction on that convention center.
Still very early in the process. Yes. Thanks, Barbara. Coming up next on Indiana Newsdesk. New sonar technology is giving emergency management crews a better idea of what's at the bottom of one of Indiana's most popular lakes. Coming up, we'll show you what they're finding and how the equipment can be used to save lives. And we hear from two Indiana veterans about their harrowing experiences on the western and the eastern fronts of World War II. These stories and more right here on Indiana Newsdesk.
The WTIU WFIU news team connects Indiana to the world. We bring you the top news of the day on radio, TV, and online. We round up the stories that have people talking each week and dig deep into the issues that affect your community the most. The WTIU WFIU news team is where you are and telling your story.
$10,000. 15? 15, you think? 20, 21,000?
600.
20. 18.5. 24.
It's at least 40.
Look at it.
4,500,000. 650.
20.
650.
This textile would be worth about $500,000.
$500,000?
No way.
I knew it. It's just a blanket.
Laying on the back of a chair. Well, sir, you have a national treasure.
Wow.
A national treasure. Congratulations.
I can't believe this.
Welcome back to Indiana Newsdesk. New technology is giving one Indiana county a better look at what's at the bottom of Lake Monroe. As Sophia Salaby reports, it's helping law enforcement solve cases.
Brown County Emergency Management received an almost $10,000 grant from the Department of Homeland Security earlier this month. Part of that grant went to the purchase of sonar equipment. The grant also funded water rescue vests, dry suits, and throw bags. There was a need for equipment that could be used for rescue during flooding, since the county doesn't have a dedicated swiftwater rescue team.
Being a smaller county, we just don't have the resources that some of the other counties have. So these grants are a godsend for us because we're able to get those resources and equip my first responders.
The equipment purchased through the grant will be shared between different agencies, including Emergency Management in Monroe County and the State Department of Natural Resources.
We work very hand in hand with DNR. They do a lot of that work with us with the water rescues because they have the boats, they have some of that equipment that the fire departments here, because of funding, aren't able to get on their own.
And the technology is being used for more than just water rescues. The DNR found a stolen car in Lake Monroe using the new sonar equipment. It also allowed officials to take higher quality images of a crane and boat that are also at the bottom of the lake. Indiana Conservation Officer Joseph Tenbarge says using sonar makes it easier for him and his team to work on dives.
It's taken away from the old days of searching and feeling with your hands for hours and hours on end, where here we can just literally go, right underwater, find it, recover it, and, be safe.
So far, the new sonar equipment has only been used for training exercises. For Indiana Newsdesk, I'm Sophia Salaby.
Brown County Emergency Management will also use the equipment in other large bodies of water in the county, such as Cordray Sweetwater Lakes and Lake Lemon. Well, the country recognizes Veterans Day tomorrow, a day in which community members honor and recognize those who served in the military. This year, we asked 2 World War II veterans to reflect on their own stories. Lindsay Wright joins me now with more. Lindsay.
Thanks, Joe. The veterans shared their memories of what that time was like and what their service means to them decades later. Now 93 years old, Jim Peters was drafted when he was 18. He worked as an aircraft mechanic for the Army Air Force. Peters spent his time carrying out 27 total bombing missions in areas of Europe. During 25 of those missions, his bomb squad received fire. Peters spent a total of 20 years in the military, also serving in the Korean War, and was discharged in 1965. He grew up in Columbus, Ohio, but now spends his days in Columbus, Indiana, near his son.
Here, that's the co-pilot, and I think this is the navigator here, and then the gunners are down below. This is, I think it was a ball gunner here. The radio operator was here, I believe. The last mission, I counted 11 bursts that were would shake the airplane. You'd hear a bang and then a rattle like that, and from the fragments hitting the airplane, and then at about that time the airplane gave a lurch, and a puff of smoke would go by underneath the open bomb bay. And I had a couple of occasions I had to go over the open bomb bay, and without a parachute, looking down 27,000 feet below, and crank the doors closed, and it was kind of wild. I think we were too young to be actually petrified, you know, otherwise we wouldn't have been able to go. I go back to the tail wheel, which is down back here. It's retracted right here on this model, but it was back in here, so I had to go back through there. And then over here on this other side, you can see the entrance door and the 2 waist guns positions. They were staggered on later ones because the gunners would interfere with each other. I'm the only one that's left alive right now. Everybody else is gone. And I figure I've got something left to do. Otherwise, I'd be gone myself. But I'm not sure exactly what it is, unless it's telling stories like this. I don't know.
I also sat down with A.J. Lehman, who also lives in Columbus. He's originally from the southern part of the state. He enlisted in the Marine Corps when he was 19. The 95-year-old says the memories he has of World War II never leave him. Lehman spent nearly 2.5 years overseas on the front line, invading several islands in the Pacific. A stint of malaria and double pneumonia nearly killed him during that time. He married his high school sweetheart when he returned to the U.S. and was discharged in 1945. Since then, he's received multiple medals and Bronze Stars and the Distinguished Hoosier Award. The veteran says serving the U.S. made him who he is, and he would do it again.
At Terre, I was in there in invasion, and I don't know how many days, or I think it was about 10 days, and I got in trouble, and I went in a coma. And somebody said they had me in the pile with the deceased, you know, people that were killed. And somebody seen my hand move, and they took me out and took me to New Caledonia, another island where we had a hospital. You hate to see your friends killed and everything, and it's sad. I mean, you never forget it. You know, corpsmen, when they dropped a bomb, you can't imagine how the sky lit up. It was a continuous light from all the ships afar and all the people you're firing on the beach. We were skeptical of the war being over, you know, we just couldn't believe. But then after we found out how many bombs and A-bombs and stuff, you know, it didn't take long to make them change their mind. The war was won by red-blooded Americans that wanted this country free and all the good assets of life that we were accustomed to. It has made me appreciate everything in this good old country of ours. God bless America.
Hoosiers around the state will honor veterans at events over the weekend. The American Veterans Traveling Tribute and Traveling Vietnam Wall is on the front lawn of the French Lick Casino. It's covered in the names of all 58,000 plus people who died during the Vietnam War. It's open to the public through November 12th. And Joe, there are events taking place across the state.
I bet they could have talked all day
Yeah.
if you would have let them.
Yeah, their memories were incredible, but like you said, that kind of stuff just doesn't leave you.
Thanks, Lindsay.
You're welcome.
And that's the end of this program, but our work continues online as we cover the news throughout the week at WTIUnews.org. Have a great weekend.
Indiana Newsdesk is made possible in part by the following: IU Health Southern Indiana physicians, primary care and specialty care providers now accepting new patients in Bloomington and throughout South Central Indiana. siphysicians.org. The IU School of Education, preparing teachers, scholars, and administrators to improve teaching and learning in Indiana and around the world. More at education.indiana.edu. Smithville Fiber, the Giga City Company, fiber internet, HD, and digital IPTV in Southern Indiana. More information at smithville.com. Indiana University Alumni Association, linking IU's network of over 650,000 alumni and sharing the Indiana spirit through scholarships and volunteer opportunities. alumni.iu.edu. And by WTIU members. Thank you.